This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's pod, this week in review of February 12th. Even though this is our second go-round, Phil, I almost said January again. I opened up, if you notice, for those that are watching, we have a guest on the show. It's Ashley. Hello.
Hello.
We're going to introduce her in a second, but we just started. This is take 2 right now, and I opened up the show as I almost said January instead of February. Ha ha ha! Everybody laughed, and then I redid it, and I almost said January again. That being said, this is a countdown of 5 days before my canceled Walt Disney World trip, which is excellent because I'm going to be inundated with shots from my my mother and my sister, who are all going in 5 days. So I can't wait for that. So, and anyway, happy times for this podcast. Phil, we got a cool show. So what we did, preface the show, is we went into Discord and we said, hey, anybody from the community want to hop on this week's podcast? And Ashley, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I asked, I introduced you to the community because you popped on. Was it 2 weeks ago?
I think it was last week.
Maybe it was last week. Ashley is a pseudo new member. She was part. She was she had a hiatus for quite some time. She came on back, and now she's participating heavily in the community, which we welcome. Thank you for hopping on.
Thank you.
Sadly, no new members this week on Discord. So I know we got a lot of listeners, and I know all of you are not on Discord. So whoever that is listening and watching, you're not on Discord. Shame on you. And it's a free way to get you shout out on the show. So why don't you go ahead and do that? But Phil, we had a cold open question before we get to who Ashley is and why she's here.
Yeah.
And that's, what Walt Disney World restaurant have you not been to? Would you most like to try? And Phil, before I ask you what it is,
okay,
what do you think mine is? Because I was going on my canceled trip.
Oh, now you're going to know that I wasn't paying attention.
Well, no, because it'd be the only one that you would know that you would be paying attention to.
Yeah.
You were going there for lunch. You were going there for lunch.
Sanaa.
Yes. I've heard a lot of good things. I've seen the menu. I've seen the videos. And I was finally going to go. And I was going for dinner. Phil's good. As everybody knows, Phil's was doing a non-park Orlando vacation.
Yep.
And we were going to somehow meet at that restaurant as he's finishing and as I was getting there, finally in person. Yet we will have to wait further for that to happen.
Wait for the bread service. Yeah.
So, Ashley, what is your restaurant of choice that you have not been to that you can't wait to get to?
Oh, Ryan and I were talking about it earlier in the Discord. It's going to have to be Topolino's Terrace. I love the Riviera. We stayed at Caribbean Beach last September, and we stayed at the rooms closest to the Riviera, so we cheated and used their quick service. But absolutely Topolino's. I love it. I mean, I love everything that I see about it, and I can't wait to try it.
Can't wait. I'm moving my camera, everybody, so don't get seasick.
I've done dinner there, but I haven't done the breakfast there, although my wife did on her mom's and kids trip. They did the breakfast there. We liked it.
Yeah. Another place I was going to go, and I can't wait to see, that has been canceled. I'm not canceling this podcast episode. I'm not going to be negative, Phil. I'm not. I swear. I'm only thinking about it every single minute of my day. Phil, what's yours?
So the one that first came to mind that I haven't been to, I want to try, is Tiffin's over in Animal Kingdom. That's one place in Animal Kingdom I haven't eaten. Obviously, I've eaten at Nomad Lounge several times, but we haven't done the dinner there. I will say the second one that came to mind is Les Celliers. I'm probably not saying that as French as I should, but that
we know what you mean.
Yeah, that one in Canada in Epcot, it looks really cool, and I know a lot of people really love it. So that's one that I haven't done as well.
There are so many restaurants I
know.
want to. I mean, my list is like a mile long, and because I have small kids, I can't exactly do them. I'm not spending the money on these dinners when I have like a 4-year-old, that barely eats anything. So,
well, the hard part is then when they turn 10 and you got to pay for it.
I don't. You know what? Like, I don't mind paying the money. I'll pay the money if I can sit there and enjoy a meal without like my kids screaming and being obnoxious. So, I'm at this point, at this perspective, it's just like, yes, I will pay the extra $20 a head for these kids to eat if I can enjoy my meal. Which sometimes
that's how I feel about Topolino's. I'm like, I don't want to take you until you can enjoy Donald Duck coming to our table.
Yeah, and you know what? That's one of our first topics, kids at Walt Disney World. So I'll come back to that. Okay, so Phil, we talked about before we started recording the DCI is at like 79.66.
You could round up to 80, but it's not quite there. But
it's not official.
Yeah. Although I thought this was funny that they Matt had marked everything that was coming back today, but then the Frontierland Hoedown didn't come back today, even though it was supposed to. So that lowered the score by like 0.04%. So I was saying you should go there and bring a sign saying you're worth 0.04%.
So there's really nothing to show on screen. This is the only reason why I haven't brought it up. But anyway, getting on to the show, first topic of the day is Ashley, you should be happy that you are now the topic of the show.
I'm here.
Who are you and what's your Disney story? So I'm going to be one of those corny, like there's like a bunch of podcasts out there, right?
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, what is your Disney story? What is like, we went on one, and they used to be on Discord quite a bit. It was they're the DVC newscast, good group of people. And they do a weekly show. What is your Disney story? And then you have Mike on, what's the name of the podcast, Phil? I'm going to screw it up. He's from Missouri. And he's a podcaster, and he's a pretty big podcast. I'm gonna look it up. I can't look at my phone because my phone's a camera. Anyway, he does like what's your Disney story type of things.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think that's extremely cheesy, but we're gonna do it because it's also very interesting.
And I typed that in there. I just didn't know the best way to put it.
But that's the only way you can put it.
Yeah, it's like, well, why are you on a Disney podcast? Basically?
Yes. What is your Disney story? Yeah. So Ashley, who are you? Thanks for coming on, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. So I grew up like all throughout elementary school. We went to Disney. I live in Indiana, most boring state ever. It's not very fun. Go Colts. But we went to Disney probably every year while I was in elementary school. And then in 5th grade, my parents just had this random idea, and they're like, let's just move there. Oh. And we'll work at Disney. And so we did it. And 5 months later, when Disney salary can't afford a living in Florida, we ended up back. But my parents are always like into the parks, always collecting and stuff like that. So it just kind of rubbed off on me. And ever since, like, I try and go as much as I can. I have my own podcast to talk about Disney and stuff like that. I'm a super huge Stitch fan. I have a Stitch tattoo right here.
Oh, I dig it.
Yeah. Every time I see
Stitch,
you
go to McDonald's a lot now, right? To get the Stitch toys at McDonald's.
I feel like they're just gonna end up in the trash, unfortunately. So I'm trying not to, but I kind of want to. But yeah, I love Stitch. I love the Polynesian. I love just going bar hopping at Disney, just hanging out. Like, I don't even have to ride rides. Like Phil, like, you're going on a non-park trip. I would absolutely go on a non-park trip. Whenever my wife is mad at me, she threatens to take away the park. So I'm like, go for it. I will gladly resort.
That is not a threat.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just grew up all around the parks. Like I said, my parents worked there, and then I've just continued to go there all my life.
Well, Phil, I'm going to ask Ashley a question. Could you fix your mic? I think we're on the wrong mic, so I want you adjust that. Okay. I think I'm taking audio from your camera. Excellent. So, Ashley, you are actually that's like real Disney story, because everybody's like, yeah, I went to the parks, when I was a kid. I loved Disney. I fell in love with the Lion King when I was a kid. Like typical, you're not special. That's not a special Disney story. Your parents loved Disney and they moved to be closer to Disney. I mean, I think that's pretty unique. Like, do you have any specific memories of I'm moving to Disney, be closer to Disney, and then my parents are working for Disney or was it just like a normal childhood that you just moved when you were how old were you when you moved, and then when you moved back?
We were only there for 5 months, and I remember
that was a quick one.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I so I was obsessed with Radio Disney back in the day.
Okay,
we had one of those portable Sirius XM things.
Right.
My mom would they had a code word of the day. My mom would plug in the code word on the website for me while I was just trying to go to school.
Oh, wow.
And then I wound up winning a trip to California. And then we moved to Florida. So
that's interesting.
it was a series of very fortunate events.
I like series of fortunate events because they're definitely not unfortunate.
Yeah. So they've always just, and I remember doing it. Like, I remember going down there. I remember skipping school and going to Disney. I thought I was hot stuff.
Well, we just did that for my kids. And I think that hopefully that's a memory that they're going to remember. At least one of them, they're old enough to do that. Yeah. That being said, we were talking about your experiences of the 5 months of being a series of fortunate incidences, which is absolutely great. So you do run a podcast.
I do.
And what is that podcast?
It is called M+.
Everything Disney has. Phil, why aren't we DBC Plus podcast?
That'll be the I don't know when we join the metaverse, or isn't that the new thing?
Everything has to be a plus. So, what is your podcast all about? You have a co-host. Tell me about these. I people.
do. So we were originally the Mouse Pod, where we just covered parks, and my co-host, his name's Nico. He is like super into like Star Wars, Marvel, all that kind of stuff, and I like dabble in it. Like, I'll watch all that stuff, but I'm not like super into it. And one day he was just like, "Hey, let's just cover Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney because I feel like we can learn a lot from each other. And let's rebrand it as MousePod Plus, and we'll just call it M Plus for short." And I was like, "Sounds great."
Okay.
So we're mainly covering parks right now just because he just got back from a trip. So we've been covering all that, and I think my wife and I are going to record over like our trip planning and how we do that kind of stuff. But yeah. We cover Marvel, we cover Star Wars. I've been doing a deep dive into like Clone Wars and everything else. So
is this a weekly show? Is it a monthly show? What time? When do you usually come out with your new shows?
We do record weekly. We work under the idea that this is a hobby, so sometimes life happens and you can't always record. So fair
enough. Phil, we don't do that, right? Life happens, and it's like we're like our weekly show. We're recording on a Wednesday. After
It's like Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. And, we get it done at some point. But yes,
it will happen.
Yeah. I am the same way. I'm like, okay, we can't record today, but how about 3 a.m. tomorrow?
That's how we're gonna do this.
Yeah. So we try and put out an episode every week. We're very active on like our Instagram. It's just M Plus Podcast.
And they can find you wherever podcasts are found. Like, you've got all the platforms covered, right?
Yep. We got them all covered.
Just audio? I'm assuming, because I only found the audio one. That's what I listened to. Are you doing YouTube? Like
the Mouse Pod was on YouTube for a little bit. But I'm hiding these banana boxes right now because I'm moving next week. Yeah, I'm moving next week. So once I get like an actual kind of studio set up at my new house, we're gonna start doing like M Plus on YouTube.
Nice. Well, we'll make sure, Phil, that we tweet that out, and we'll put that in our show notes, and then we'll add your channel to the bottom of our channel, the friends of the show type of thing. So that'll be awesome.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so now that topic's out of the way, the boring stuff, right? We don't really care about you.
Very boring.
All right. But this is a topic close to your heart because you brought this up with Phil, right? You're going, if I recall, with your kids soon?
We're gonna take them on their first like full blown trip in September.
Okay. What? How many kids? What ages? 1 kid? 2 kids? 100 kids?
We have 2 little monsters.
Yes.
They are
That's it? That's it. Phil and I have 3. What are you doing?
I know. You got to up the difficulty level.
They're actually the nephews. We have custody of them, though, so we are good with 2 right now. They're 3 and 4. We are okay with 2.
No,
the tantrums are in full force.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. That's a handful, especially so close in age like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
My mom lives in Orlando currently, so we took them down last February, and we just did a Magic Kingdom day. They were all-stars. They handled it all day. We didn't push them. We kind of took a break midday. They didn't even take a nap. They were rock stars. But yeah, taking them on their first full-blown trip in September, and I don't expect the same outcome.
Okay, so this is going to be their first. Are you doing on property? It's a full-blown Disney trip?
Yep.
So you went just for a day last time, right? You got a taste of it.
Yeah.
So were you down, like, staying with friends, family, just like a hotel somewhere? What was the story before? What was your, like, little test run, I guess?
So my mom lives in Orlando, so we just stayed with her. So like we did Springs here and there. It was for a week, so we just like go to Springs for a few hours, go do whatever.
You dip your toe in the parks for a day.
Yeah,
popped
went
out.
to Magic Kingdom. Yeah. So it was easy enough.
You're full blown. So now I'm looking at our show notes. What were the main concerns that we could start off with?
Yeah, so the conversation kind of happened where when Ashley listened to our episode, she thought it was good that we had the tips for people going for the first time, and so there was a lot of good tips and stuff. So I thought we could build on that with any tips she had from her first trip, but also thinking about when you have your next trip and maybe like a bigger trip now that you're trying, and how do things change when it's like your second or third trip? So it's not just like everything's new. What, like, now you're more seasoned and I guess advanced, and what lessons do you learn? And I guess just also as kids get older, how do your tips kind of change for that when the kids are a little bit older?
So I'm fortunate enough that like the age of my children now, or the last visit when they were 7, 6, and 3, I probably got that wrong, 8, 6, and 3, were roughly the same ages as my kids when we first went, which were like 1 and 3, right? So the kids get older, but apparently, like, I keep adding more to the roster.
You keep replacing you keep getting the new model.
Yeah. So, like, I've been living in the perpetual, like, 3-4-year-old going to Disney kind of mode, and we're just getting out of that, thankfully. So you had your test run, actually. What are your major concerns? Because now you're going to be there are you going to win, like, how many park days are you planning on in September? Let's get this out. What is the framework of your trip?
I think we got 7 days, 8 nights.
Nice.
I don't know how it's spaced out to where we can do 2 parks, take a day, 2 parks, take a day. I think we're going to do 1 park, take a day. I don't know. We have like 2 or 3 off days to where we can just let them chill.
Fair. Okay, so you got a full week going down, right? So you got at least 4 park days built in, I would imagine, at the minimum. See how the kids flow with it. So you don't have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Absolutely not. You had support.
I can't wait.
No, it's gonna be great. So listening to that little, it was Touring's Plans, right? Touring Plans tweet that we were going off of.
The initial tweet was from them.
Yeah, I think so.
So what do you want to, for 2 experts that are sitting here on a podcast, Ashley, with you? What are your like fears, and what do you think you're overestimating from your point of view right now? So let's go fears. What are you worried about?
I think not having enough rest time. It's a fear of mine.
No, that's not. That shouldn't be a fear. That's a good thing that you're thinking about it right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're an uber Disney fan, just like all of us. And Phil, what is the one thing I always say? Like, when you're building, you always plan
rest days.
Not rest days, but it's just like an hour of rest during the thing.
Yeah.
So when you think of rest in the middle of the day, Ashley, what are you thinking that is? Is that going back to the resort? Is that something else?
Absolutely, going back to the resort, just getting like out of the parks. I mean, I guess you could go to like say Magic Kingdom, you could just go to like Geyser Point, go to the Polynesian, something like that. But just like removing yourself from all of that, because at 3 or 4, that is very overwhelming.
So you're thinking about taking a 5-hour break in the middle of the day, and you're okay with that?
It's a 3-hour nap.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, if you're okay with it, right? But you have to realize logistically, like. This is one thing that I've always had to learn. It's like, okay, let's say, you're hitting your nap time, or you're considering your nap. It's like, let's say you want to get back by noon, right? Lunchtime or whatever. Yeah. You got to start leaving the park at 10:45, 10:30, and you're not getting back till 4:00.
I see where you're coming from.
And you're spending what, $500 to be there?
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. We were we're gonna have a stroller, so hopefully we can just recline those bad boys. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, unless your kids, unless the nephews are like hard up, they need a nap, or like the vacation's ruined. Like, don't go back to the resort.
Okay.
This is like there.
At least not every day, I would say. Like, maybe if you want like one more extended break and pool time and stuff like that.
Well, those are like half days type of things, Phil. Right? Like, I mean, like, I know. I'm very passionate about this subject because I hate when people waste money at Disney World just to go to a pool. Right?
I respect that.
So I didn't mean to jump on you, Phil. I'm sorry. I just realized I kind of did that.
That's all right. You're passionate.
I am. I'm feeling it right now. Well, here's my. Oh, go ahead, Phil. Sorry,
I was just going to say. I mean, I think you can plan on that. Obviously, it depends which resort you're staying at and which park. If you're staying at the Polynesian or whatever, you can do MK pretty quick and stuff like that. But yeah, the big thing is just knowing it. Sometimes people are like, oh yeah, we'll take an hour break and we'll leave from like noon to 1. It's like, no, that's not happening. Like,
you're going to spend an hour on the bus.
Exactly. Yeah. So as long as you're like realistic about it, like, okay, we're on day 4. These kids really need a break. Like, okay, we did, 3 hours at Animal Kingdom. Let's go back for a few hours. As long as I think that's good. But yeah, there are other ways to take breaks. And I will say, you mentioned about reclining the strollers. That was going to be one tip I had, was make sure you bring a stroller that can recline, because we've had several park days where we had the intention of taking a midday break, and then we're like looking at the times and we're like, let's just lean that back, wander around like World Showcase, get a beverage, and kind of let them nap and that sort of thing. And that's just another way to chill out too.
There's plenty of shady places in Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom where there's like a lot of nooks where you can just, like, for the rain too, but like there's a lot of places where they can just chill. There's some benches by, you can just like hang out and have an iced tea or a coffee or something that you can get at Magic Kingdom. But my point being is, like, you always got to think logistically when you're on property, right? It's very important. So, like, just imagine you are no newbie when it comes to Walt Disney World, but you're used to being able to, like, sprint wherever you want to go, wherever fast your legs can take you. So you've got a bunch of stuff you got to bring with you. You don't have a diaper bag, thankfully. You don't have to deal with those days. But you got a big stroller. You've got a backpack full of stuff, probably full of snacks and ponchos for 2 other people, right? So you got a bunch of stuff going. To get anywhere in the Magic Kingdom to the bus stop is going to take you minimum 40 minutes. Minimum. You're fighting against crowds. You got to walk the whole distance pushing the stroller. You've got kids that are either walking or on the stroller itself. Maybe you got one in, one out type of thing, right? Yeah. They're being distracted. They might want to stop here and there for something. And then what if you get to the bus stop and the bus had already left? You got to wait for the next one. That could be another 15, 20 minutes rotation, right? So you're talking half hour to an hour to get to the bus stop. You've got 0 to 20 minutes to get onto the bus. Then you've got 10 to 20 minutes to get to your resort and then make the loop, depending on where your bus stop is on the resort itself. The walk from the bus stop to your room, which is going to be another 10, 15 minutes, because you got to untangle yourself from the bus. You've got 2 kiddos that you're dragging out there. You're unfolding the stroller. You're wrestling with all this stuff. You got your wife helping out hopefully. You're like, doing all the other stuff, right?
I will be the one not helping.
Oh, all right. So I got to be yelling at you then for the show then. Okay, but yeah, I got to realize, like, all these minutes add up, and by the time you're saying, like, let's say you are riding Dumbo, and you're like, okay, it's time to go. It's time for nap time and getting back to the hotels. And if it's like 10:30, you're not getting back until like probably noon. By the time you're in your hotel room and like, all right, we're going to start
starting rest, yeah.
And not only that, it's the time it takes them to fall asleep, and then the time for them to take it. I mean, like, you're not getting back to those parks until like 4:30.
Yeah,
and you have to be okay with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with. There's plenty of people that do it, and there's plenty of people that don't mind letting their kids sleep and just hanging out outside, hanging out at the resort. There's a lot of people that are fine with that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like morning, noon, and night. Like, we got to be in the park. This is a park day.
That's how we are.
I'm rope dropping, and I'm not leaving until I see fireworks. Darn it, that type of thing. So anyway, a couple tips in that regards that I found that are very helpful with kids. It typically would have been character dining, but they don't do that right now, and it's expensive too. So a couple things: riding the monorail and a couple loops. That's Phil's favorite.
It's my favorite, yeah.
One of my oldies that I haven't done in 20 years is ride the railroad, because it hasn't been opened in a century or so. That's always fun.
It was a new train, actually, when it opened for the first time.
Exactly. New technology, Phil.
Yeah.
It was new technology. I mean, like, you could do all the classics where you're just in, you're inside a Carousel of Progress or, Hall of Presidents, those type of things. And another thing that I always like doing is when it's an hour before the fireworks, you pick a spot out and you just sit. The kids love, like, kind of dancing around and playing in front of the castle, that type of thing. We got some great pictures for that. But we do that too. It's just like, find things to do. Like, if it go to the Polynesian for like 2 hours where you can just hop back on that monorail like that, or like go resort hopping type of thing. That's always really cool. We always did Crystal Palace or Chef Mickey's when they were available back in the pre-times. So whatever floats your boat. But like, if your kids are not like, I need a nap, like, don't go. That being said, when I've done my last trip, I went down full week plus trip. I had park tickets for every single day. But every single day, I did not go to the park. I've been there for like an afternoon or a morning, and that's the time where you go back and then you just chill. Yeah. I would not recommend more than 2 full park days in a row, however that configures with your time or whatever. No more than 2. full days. So that's my go-to on that.
I think when we went in February, we did the whole like, let's just hang out on the monorail. We went to like the Contemporary. The outer room was still closed, so we just like found a few couches, gave them some animal crackers. They had the TV on, so we just chilled there. And then we realized that the pool bar was too far away, so we moved to the Polynesian where the pool bar was closer, and we were like, we need a drink. So we sat in the lobby and had a drink, and the boys just kind of chilled out and took it all in, and then we went back in, and they were fine. But yeah, that's one that I would suggest to anyone too, alongside you guys, is just the monorail loop for sure.
Very nice. And now, Phil, you're highlighting the next portion of our conversation.
Well, just thinking of also as you get now into like your second and third trip, and your nephews, your kids are still young, but they will start like having favorites. And so it's like figuring out, well, how many of the favorites do we do? How many new things do we do? I think is always a challenge. So what we usually do is I know a lot of people try to surprise their kids with trips and stuff. We've never really done that, or the one time we did it, it was still like several months out, and include them in the planning. Say like, what do you guys want to do? Like, what do you remember from your last trip? What do you want to do again? There's some new stuff. Do you want to do this? That sort of thing. Now, some kids will be like, yeah, I want to do everything. But like, try to get it down to like, okay, everybody gets to pick like one or two things, and those become must-dos. And maybe it's one repeat, one new thing, something like that. But I think that balance for a lot of people gets hard because your kids are like, I remember this, I want to do that, but I also want to do this. So it's like, how do you
fight nostalgia?
Yeah. Because nostalgia is such a huge part with the parks, right? I mean, last episode, Jason, you were talking about how you have the pictures of the kids next to the fence, and you can kind of see how they're growing based on like how they grow. They change year over year along the fence. So you want to keep those nostalgic feelings, but there's always new things in the parks you haven't done too. So finding that balance, I think, is hard, but important.
Have you started building like in your head like things you have to do every single trip? I have to imagine you've got something in the back of your brain be like, this is what I always did when I was a kid, so I want to share that and build new memories upon that old memory. Do you have anything like that?
Both of them really, they love watching Splash Mountain. Like we watch the POVs all the time on YouTube. So I think that's always going to be a must-do for us because, like, they will put their hands up while they're watching it and, like, act like they're going down the hills. It's adorable.
That's awesome.
So, like, I think Splash is always going to have to be a must-do for us, even for, like, the nostalgia of just, like, remembering them being little and going down that. But they're currently into, like, Cars and Star Wars and, like, toddler boy stuff. So I think that will probably all just be something that they always want to do.
So, like, there's what you'll find is, like, I don't have very large childhood memories of Disney. We went like 2 or 3 times, I want to say, but it was like a trip that we went to go see my grandparents, and then like kind of like your previous trip, like you stayed with your mom, you went like one day. I think the most we went for like a weekend, but we never stayed on property. Maybe we stayed at a hotel nearby type of thing, but it was more of like a Florida vacation, not a Disney vacation.
Yeah.
But as we've gone more and more, there are certain traditions that are starting to kind of like bore out of everything, grow out of it. Like, Dad has to go on Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the first ride on the first day that we go. Like, that's just a rule. We go left and we go right to Pirates. It doesn't make a difference. Now, the second day we're at Magic Kingdom or whatever, if we're there that long, I mean, it's whatever we want to do, but we have to go on Pirates. There's a couple pictures that we have to take, like those type of things, like, certain parts of the park. And what's great, because my daughter, she's been down there 15, 17, 19. Yeah, about 4 times now, right? And so she's starting to remember and pick up on some of those traditions, which is really cool. So Phil and I, we were talking about last week, you can't force memories when you're at Disney, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can't be like, okay, I need to build a memory with the 2 kids, so like, let's do this. This is what we're going to know. It's going to be like, there's going to be some dumb moment where like it's raining and you don't know where to go, and then you have a great time somewhere because you had an ice cream cone underneath a specific, and then every single trip you have to have an ice cream sitting right here because it was like a fun time. Like something random is going to happen where you're going to build a memory off of. And with kids, I mean, it's easy with adults. Like you don't really like, you go and you have a good time and you build memories off of that because you're adults and you're just having drinks and you're running around and you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
But with kids, it's a little different because like, the magic is still there. Like the not that magic's not there for us adults, but like it's different. It's a different type of magic, right? So, what I would suggest, and Phil, you mentioned this last week, is just let the vacation breathe. Don't overplan your trip with your kids, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
I think that's a good one, but then also like keep in mind, like whether it's, I know you Jason, you like to do a big dinner and kind of reflect on the day and stuff. Mm-hmm. So whether it's that or just after the trip, kind of like go back and say, well, what are some of those moments that really stand out to us, and maybe think about that for the next trip. Because I mean, this is a silly one, but one that came to mind is one time we never really had a full meal at Magic Kingdom, and we really wanted Dole Whips, so we got Dole Whips, and we kind of like joked like, oh, we're gonna have like a meal of Dole Whips. That's become like one of our traditions. It's like every time down, we're like, one of our meals is Dole Whips and stuff like that. So but we didn't plan that. We didn't go into the first time saying we're going to do a meal, Dole Whip meal, but that's kind of, but we reflected back on it, and the kids remember that. And now we go down, they're like, when are we getting our Dole Whips? Like, so just like let those moments happen, but don't take some time to kind of, I don't know whether you want to like record them in a spreadsheet or whatever, but like think about it, go back and kind of say like, okay, well, what were those moments that really stood out?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I feel like we're just like sitting here like telling Ashley how to have her vacation, and I feel bad. But I'm talking to the broader audience out there, like kind of like how I feel things. Like the some of the best things like I like to do with my kids is, and we talked about this, don't fill your day out with like an itinerary. Like at 8:30 we do this, at 8:45 we do this, at 9:30 we do this. That's bad. But make sure you do fill up your day with an itinerary of where you want to go, like the big things. I think that's important. Have a structure around your day. Like, we're going to have lunch here. We're going to have dinner here. We're going to go on these 3 or 4 rides throughout the day. This is our like metrics. And then you can wander the parks and do whatever you want and like hit those couple things and it'd be good. So, especially with kids, because with kids and schedules are terrible. Maybe one's having a bad day or something. You got to go back to the resort, but you got to go with the flow on that type of thing.
Yep.
Did we miss anything, Phil?
Well, I was just going to ask Ashley, like to your point that it was just us talking about our trips. Like, what else are you thinking about for your upcoming trip? Is there anything you're like?
Oh wait, Ashley's going on a trip?
Yeah, maybe potentially.
Yeah, it is a big maybe. Yeah. We closed on our house on Tuesday. We're like, we think we can do it, but we might not.
Well, at some point or whatever. But kind of like, what are anything else that you're like, should we do this or maybe we'll do that? Is there anything we don't want to overdo or underdo or just like any other thing you're debating?
I think you guys hit it with like not packing our days too much. I mean, we've kind of like wrote out all the like ADRs we want to hit and like rides that we know we need to hit, which is like the kids because we know that they'll enjoy them, but we know that like we know not to expect the world out of them and expect cooperation out of them either. But if they wake up and don't want to go to Magic Kingdom, I might just leave them there.
Well, I mean, that's a different story. I mean, you have to force your kids out of bed. I'm like, you're going today.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's okay to be like, kids, shush, brush your teeth. I'm dragging. Like, sometimes you have to be the leader of the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta like. My wife was the leader of the vacation last week. It was her idea for like the little sprint, 3-day sprint. And I realized I grimaced with Phil when he said like, don't surprise your kids with a trip. And I'm like, no, that's a terrible idea. Which we of course like picked up our kids out of school and say we're going to Florida for daddy's trip and then for work. And then like completely surprised them. But it was a surprise trip for me too. So I mean like I think it was fair. That being said, it's like you can't force too much of this stuff, and then just just let it ride. I don't. We always say the same thing, but I think everybody appreciates like different perspectives. I hope so. Actually, I hope you learn well, and I hope whenever the trip is, hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
And
we were gonna surprise them, but now I think I like the idea of like letting them pick things. So maybe we'll change that.
I mean, you know your kids best. Some kids, like parents, have these great things, like even Jason for your weekend, where it's like, let's just go and we're going. I know my kids like to be involved in the planning and stuff like that, and I just think it makes. I just like the planning too, so I don't want to like not talk about it for 6 months. Or whatever.
No, I could never do that for like a big trip, right? Like I could never be a surprise. Like we're going for a week. Like no. That's we gotta build up the anticipation for that trip. And because
I have seen some of those videos too, where they're like the kids thought they were going to grandma's, and then the parents are like, "No, we're going to Disney World." They're like, "But we want to go to grandma's." Like they're all upset they're going to Disney.
Can't spring that type of thing on them. And my daughter's now she's about to turn 9. I think she's now like old enough to be able to like plan it because she has the memories that are fresh in her head. So
exactly.
I'm looking forward to the next trip to like have her. We'll sit down as a family and she can start seeing my spreadsheets and my whiteboarding and everything else like that. It's really fun. All right, Phil, before we go on to Attractionality for this week, where can everybody find us on social media?
Yes, so we are on all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course our YouTube channel, all at the DBC Pod, and of course the Discord server where you can meet lovely people like Ashley.
Ashley, where can they find you on social media on Twitter? Do you have those accounts set up?
Yeah, so you can find the Mouse Pod, Facebook at the Mouse Pod, or no, Facebook is Mouse Pod Plus, Instagram is Impulse Podcast. I'm on Twitter _PuckNasty_. And yeah, we're on Twitter. We're both like, I'm M plus Ashley, or TikTok. I'm sorry, we're on TikTok. M plus Ashley and M plus Neek. I have a series.
We need to write this down somewhere.
Yeah, we'll get all this out. We'll add it to the show notes. Yeah,
you just listed like 10 different social media accounts, which is awesome.
Yeah, I know it's not easy. But I'm doing a series on TikTok that's 3 Disney characters I'd have a beer with. So that's pretty fun to do.
Maybe when you're all done, are you done with it, or is that ongoing?
It's like an ongoing thing.
I think once you get enough of them under your belt, we'll have you back on, and then we'll kind of discuss that. I think that's a cool.
We'll each pick one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, so for this week's Attractionality is Under the Sea: The Journey of the Little Mermaid. Revisit a classic tale of how one lucky little mermaid found true love. And Legs, your underwater adventure takes you below the waves on a tour of Ariel's gadget-filled grotto, immersive with special effects and hand-drawn animation sequences, recreate each unforgettable scene. Watch Sebastian the Crab conduct every singing, dancing fish in the sea. Skulk past the sinister eel-infested lair, and then cheer as Prince Eric kisses the girl. So I'm going to flash this on the screen right now. Everybody here on the show, answer these questions on Discord. I personally, if you're watching, you can see what I scored, but we're going to find out what everybody else scored. So first, Phil, actually, we'll start with you, Ashley, since you're the guest. How much do you like the concept of this attraction, which is a dark ride omni-mover through the scenes of the music of The Little Mermaid?
I think I scored it a 3 just because it's a dark ride and it's an omni-mover, just like 3 or 4 attractions at Walt Disney World. It's fun and it makes me happy, but it doesn't do much.
I like that. I Phil, what did you score this?
So I went the other way. I went for a 5 because I love it because it's a dark ride and it's omni-mover and there's a bunch of them at Disney. And I will preface, like, my scores, I feel like a lot of these I have trouble like separating out feelings from like actual thoughts on this. Mm-hmm. We had like a bad experience in the queue with another family when we were waiting on this ride, so it taints some of our views a little bit. But overall, I love classic dark rides, especially about great Disney animated movies and stuff like that. So I was super excited they were adding a new one to the Magic Kingdom. It seems like they've only been removing them in the past. So I love the concept of a dark ride that everybody can ride. I even saw some video of how they get the wheelchairs into the special cars, and it's really cool and stuff like that. So I think it's a great addition, and so I love the concept.
I'm going to split the difference. I gave this a 4, but I can argue and give this a 3 because there's better technology out there now, right? I think the ride itself is really fun. I mean, I love the music of The Little Mermaid, as many people do. And just on the basis of a dark ride and the movie, I definitely give it a 4. Question number 2 is, how well do you think Under the Sea delivers for its target audience? So, Ashley, who do you think the target audience is, and how much do you think it delivers?
I think the target audience is honestly everyone. Like,
okay, fair.
I don't know. It's all from all ages. I mean, The Little Mermaid came out how long ago? I don't even know how long ago it came out, but
1989.
I know people. Yeah, I know people. God, that's only 4 years older than me, but like I know people of all ages who love The Little Mermaid. I don't think there's a single target audience.
Yeah. What do you think? What did you give it? What'd you give it? 1 through 5?
I think it hits a 5, especially when you get into like the middle room with all of the like fish and the music and everything like that. I think that really hits it spot on.
I gave it a 5 too, just because it's. Phil, did you give it a 5 as well?
I did. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I mean, other than unless you're like a thrill seeker or whatever, but then you're probably not.
You're probably not getting all this right anyway.
There's a lot of things at Disney that aren't for you then.
Yep.
So, but like other than that, like you're not getting on this ride thinking like, how fast does it go? Like no, it's. So I think it delivers for everybody.
Even though that this ride's actually not that old. It's been there since what 2015.
Yeah, I think around that 2014,
14 to 16 somewhere. I can't remember if it was phase 1 or phase 2 of New Fantasyland. But even though it's older tech, it looks great. It feels great. and it just it hits all the good beats. So it's definitely 5. I don't think there's any adult that's not a curmudgeon that goes through this and does not come out with a smile on their face that comes out of this thing. Question number 3, how much do you personally enjoy Under the Sea? Journey of the Little Mermaid. Phil, we'll start with you on this one.
I give it a 4. I enjoy it. But at the same time, it's not like, we were just talking about planning our trips. I don't think it ever becomes like a must do. Like, oh my God.
Well, it's an easy one, though.
And especially back in the day when you could like pull fast passes, it was always an easy one to get for that.
Yep.
So we got on it most trips, but it's not something we planned around. And while some of the animatronics are really cool, some of them are a little basic, for lack of a better word. So I think it could.
Sure.
So it's good, but I think it could be better. So that's why I gave it a 4.
What about you, Ashley?
I think I do a 4 or 5 for sure. I think that if you don't make rope drop, but you make it, a little past 10 or 9 or whenever Magic Kingdom opens that day, I think it's a good ride to start your day because it makes you super happy. But yeah, especially one year I went with my grandma and she couldn't hoof it to Pirates or whatever at 10 a.m. So I was like, Little Mermaid, let's go.
So, this one might become like a classic in 20 years when I'm going with my daughter when she's all grown up and she really liked this ride type of thing. But it'll never be one that we have to go on every single trip. But it's one that we always go on because back in the Fast Pass days, like you could always refresh this ride and get on it. I'm always on it. We're always getting on it because the lines aren't that long, and again, it makes everybody happy. Why aren't you going on this one? I'd rather wait to get on this ride than A Small World. Yeah. I gave this. Other than that, I gave this a 4. The vast majority of the people gave this a 3. By the way.
Yeah, which was a little surprising.
Which surprises me. So far, the majority have been lined up with what our responses have been so far. One of the reasons why I personally enjoy this is because my youngest daughter, who doesn't really know Little Mermaid at last time we went, like she was still 3.5. She's like, yeah, it's Ariel, but she hasn't been watching. She hadn't got to the point where she just watched movies religiously. Of course, like a month later, she's been watching Moana nonstop for forever and ever, and now she's on Pocahontas every single day. That being said, she just went through the ride just waving at all the characters. She just went, hi. She just did this, all like, hi, and it's freaking adorable. And nostalgia totally taints the score for me because I personally enjoy this ride, right? It's fun, it's great music, but like I see my kids enjoying it, and it's just like you could boost this to a 5, but personal enjoyment, and like I still rather go on Rise of the Resistance and or Mine Train or Slinky Dog or like all the headliners, right? So I can't put it on par with that. Question number 4 is how well do you think Under the Sea fits into Fantasyland and the Magic Kingdom? The vast majority of people gave this a 5. Some people gave this a 1 or a 2. I don't know who those people are. Can we all say that we all give this a 5? It fits perfectly in with Fantasyland. Phil, you're not nodding your head.
Oh, I am. I was actually checking who gave it the 1 and stuff like that, so I can yell at them later. But no, I think.
I didn't even know you could see.
If you mouse over it,
who was it? Can you find it?
It was.
Can we shame them publicly?
It was Castastone and Gene L.
Well, no. You know what? If he.
Oh, he might be the one, and he didn't take it away. So yeah.
Yes, because sometimes the Castastone, when you do this on Discord, he has to put his vote for each one of them to get him up.
Yeah, so maybe he didn't review them. Yeah, because
so Gina.
Yeah, she gave it 1s for everything. So I guess Gene L does not like this ride.
She has a vendetta against this thing. She's trying to tank it.
She does not like happiness.
Yeah, she was an Ursula fan.
No. All right, we're not going to hang on. I think something.
The only thing I would add, I'd love yes, into Fantasyland and the Magic Kingdom, but even just the area itself is amazingly themed, and I love how they have right outside the grotto where you can meet. Well, back in the day, you could meet Ariel in her mermaid form and stuff. So it's like a whole complete, almost like mini land inside the new Fantasyland. So I think that's really cool.
I love that, and the one thing I'm disappointed is that it's not more expansive because I think because it basically kind of peters away into the storybook circus, right? Which we all know that I dislike that part of the park. So I think they did an excellent job blending it into like the Beauty and the Beast area, right? That transition's awesome. I think on the other side, it kind of like you're getting Tea Party, you're getting Storybook, and it all kind of meets, and it's just like you start smelling gasoline once you go in that direction also. The follow-up question we had for this is a must-do ride for Magic Kingdom, and I think we all answered it's not a must-do. But I think we all end up doing it.
Yeah.
So, which I suspect that if we go and we don't do it, we're going to realize that there's a hole in our heart because we didn't do it, and then it becomes a must-do after that.
That's accurate.
So I'll leave it at that. Next up, we're going to continue with our series of positive Disney stories.
Yes.
Still, what is it for this week?
So this was submitted by Discord member Doxy. In 2019, I booked a split stay at Port Orleans, French Quarter, and Caribbean Beach. I got a call from Disney to call them. When I called them back, they said there was a cheerleading camp going on, and they wanted me to be comfortable. So they wanted to upgrade me from Caribbean Beach to a different resort. She put me on hold and then came back asking me if Lakeview at the Contemporary would be okay.
Terrible.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely not. No,
yeah.
no. I said, sure. And then we hung up. A little while later, I checked my Disney experience and it said theme park view. So I called back and she told me, yeah, I saw you were celebrating your birthday, so I put you in theme park view. It was on the 11th floor, right in the center of the building, looking out at Magic Kingdom. I spent 3 of the 4 nights, was in park for the other one, just watching the fireworks from the balcony. And the best part was being at Contemporary when I had after hours booked, so no waiting for buses.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Now, I mean, we've all have told stories about pixie dust and stuff like that. I think, Phil, you and I talked about a couple of ours that popped in mind. Ashley, what is the first, when you hear pixie dust in like a magical time, what story pops in your head from your experience, I should say?
Back in Star Wars Weekends time, I was not an avid Star Wars fan back then, but my stepdad was, so we went and we did the breakfast at Sci-Fi where they had a Stormtrooper, an Ewok, and a couple other people. I don't remember.
I think the Jawas came by, right?
Yeah, the
like
Jawas. Yeah. So we had gone to leave, and I had asked one of the Stormtroopers for a selfie, and he like took my phone, and I was like, "What are you doing?" So he like takes my phone. He literally takes like 30 selfies, and then he goes to give it back to me and drops it. And so now it's like me and the person in the costume. This is not me and the Stormtrooper. And I look at him and I go, that better not be correct. And so like he handed it back to me. It was fine. And like we played a little game of, I don't remember, Duck Duck Goose or something like that. And then like as we were leaving, he would like tell the cast members to kind of watch me and stuff like that. It was just a really fun experience, something that not everybody gets to experience at a dinner. That's just always, I think about that experience a lot.
Because not often can you interact with the stormtroopers. They're usually like you got to be like 3 feet in the distance because they have handlers making sure nope, go away.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. All right, so this is the next topic. This is what everybody's talking about. Phil, I think I'm going to put you in charge of this one.
Okay.
Because much delayed. We were going to do this in 5 minutes last time, and we've got 12 minutes this time or so.
All right, so I'll be fast with it. We did bring it up last time. Again, it was a reminder that somebody posted about like, what's the dumbest idea you had that you think would make the world a better place? And of course, somebody else commented, well, what's the dumbest Disney park idea that you have that if you think it was implemented, it actually would make Disney World a better place? And there were just like tons and tons of it has I think 113 comments and stuff like that. Like people are really coming up with interesting ideas, and I think a lot of them were okay, that's not really realistic, that's not going to happen, but some of them were kind of like, you know what, maybe if they did that, that'd be kind of interesting. So maybe I'll go through a couple of the answers. First, I did respond, and it kind of built off some of our ideas we were talking about with like Genie Plus and how to make it better and how basically having more of it automated for you. So it's not like getting up at 7 a.m. and seeing what's there, blah, blah, blah. I actually kind of expanded it just to be a little bit more crazy. I said, when you get into the park, you're pre-booked. Everybody is pre-booked for like every of the main attractions. But if you're like not somebody like, I don't want to go on Rise of the Resistance, I don't care about that, you can trade in your booking for like a credit to use somewhere else or something like that.
That's not a dumb idea. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's very logical.
I mean, like, yes, everybody, you have certain rides in the parks that everybody wants to be on. Why not just kind of pencil it? Like you're creating the line before it opens. You just know when you get online.
Yeah. So everyone comes in there, and then some way to like credit people back if they don't want to use it or something like that. So yeah, but the whole idea of just automating things so you don't have to like, oh God, I got to get up at 7 and 2 minutes it's sold out, and I don't know when I'm going to sleep. Like all that's like kind of set for you.
That's not a dumb idea. That's just a good one, Phil.
Okay,
sorry. I need dumb ideas, please.
All right. Well, Scott Gustin, friend of the podcast, had one that I think was good too. So it's not a dumb one, but he said a no standing allowed fireworks viewing area on Main Street. So like just block off an area that says you're not allowed to stand here. This is for everyone to sit down and just so everybody can see, and you don't have to worry about kids on shoulders and stuff like that.
I like that.
So I think that'd be good.
Well, don't they do that in Tokyo Disneyland when parades go by? Everybody sits?
everybody sits, and I don't know if it's like a rule or just people are polite over there or whatever. And it's just like that's what everyone does. So
I don't think
everyone there for parades and fireworks, everyone just kind of sits down, and if you stand up, they get mad at you. Like, but it's just guests kind of patrolling themselves, I think.
My dumb idea, and what apparently wasn't a dumb idea because everybody was all about it in Discord, was I think there should be adult only times in the parks. I mean, like Epcot's basically adult only for most part. But I was like adult only parties. But then I got to thinking. I think Phil, you might have brought this up. Like when you're going at 9:00 at night, it's almost adult only anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't really make a difference. But like there could be like beer carts in the Magic Kingdom and like whatever.
There actually were quite a few comments. Oh, sorry, Ashley, were you going to say something?
I was just going to build off of that, and I was thinking adults only. But at Epcot, you could have it at night, and like each like country in the World Showcase could have their own like nighttime festival, which I thought would be kind of cool.
I mean that would just be awesome just to do it. I mean that doesn't have to be like adult only. I mean that just.
I know. I thought it was awesome, so I was like, I'm not going to mention that one because.
Well, that's not a dumb idea. That's just what they should be doing anyway, right?
Yeah, there were definitely a number of people that had comments about like adult only parks or adult only resorts. Some of them I think went a little too far. Somebody said no kids in Magic Kingdom from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. every day.
Weird.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, I guess he's just saying like that's when kids are all cranky and stuff like that, so get them all out of the park. But there were definitely a lot of posts about like no kids at Disney World, basically.
No, you got to have kids at Disney World because I could not go to Magic Kingdom without kids. Like you need to eat that. It just would not feel right. But like you want to have a party afterwards, like sure, but for like a couple hours, that's fine.
Yeah.
You have a whole bunch of tweets that you highlighted.
Yeah, I'll just go through a few of them, and then maybe Jason, if you want to go through some of the ideas from people on Discord. There are a couple fun ones that I liked related to strollers. One of them was that instead of people bringing their own strollers or renting one, you basically have them sort of like how city bikes are, where you can kind of pick one up and like use it and then leave it, and then somebody else can use it, and like so this way you don't have to worry about like where's your stroller or somebody moving your stroller or anything like that. You just kind of pick it up for when you need it, and then they take it away when you don't.
These people are not thinking of what goes into strollers as kids are riding them.
And then somebody, because I don't want to see all the strollers. If you notice, I guess a lot of people on Twitter don't want to deal with kids at the parks. But they said basically you have the strollers and have elevators that take them down into like the utilidors. So they basically go out of sight, so you don't have to deal with them. But then you can always like get them out when you need them.
That would take way too long to wait for my stroller to pop up from like a dry cleaner rack coming
exactly
up, right?
Yeah, you got to wait for your one to come around. And maybe the last one I'll mention is because a lot of the other ones kind of got hit on, but somebody suggested that all the walkways are replaced with like the rubber stuff that's in playgrounds. So this way it's like much easier on all your joints and stuff while you're walking around. And I thought that was definitely seemed like one of those things where it's like that would never happen. That would destroy the theme. But then you're like, it actually kind of would make things a little
be bad.
Easier for everyone. Then if kids fall down, they don't get as hurt and stuff like that. So I thought that was a little different. But Jason, why don't you go over some of the Discord member ideas?
So the first one is friend of the show, Julie. She hasn't been on the show like over a year. We have to get her back on. Yes. She actually works at Hollywood Studios. Her idea was, I'm reading this, and that's why I'm looking like this. If you're watching on YouTube, rooms to nap scattered around the parks. You get 1 hour to relax and decompress. People come out refreshed and ready to stay in the parks longer, spending more money, which is what everybody wants to do. So basically, a room where you can just go like take a nap and stuff like that.
Yep.
My brain's going a completely different directions what these rooms would be used for. It's a family show, so I'm going to leave it at that. Not a bad idea, right? Much easier to go into one of these areas rather than go back to your resort to take a nap. But who's going to clean these things? And I'm just thinking for like kids, right? Like kids are changing diapers and sweating in those sheets and everything else because it's 1,000 degrees. It's just, ugh.
Yeah, no thank you.
I don't like it. As an idea, good idea. In practice, not very practical.
Well, they kind of had them. If you think when they had the cabanas, you could rent in Tomorrowland.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was
Saints
thinking.
Maniac number 2 suggestion. She just wants to bring. She's being sarcastic because she's calling that a dumb idea. Which is not a bad idea. It's just stupid expensive. Like, who's going to spend that much money to
well, and they just look like random tents in the middle of Tomorrowland. They weren't themed or hidden or anything.
I don't even. I mean, if you could put me like elevated, like on a rooftop somewhere where I can lord myself over all the peasants that are just have to walk. I mean, like I wouldn't mind doing that. Make me like the twins from Book of Boba Fett, Phil. And, like, just give me, what is it?
On your litter, the people carry you around the parks.
I'm all about that. TL Madden, 73. Get rid of Princess Fairy Tale Hall and put a ride about one of the princesses. That's an idea that we've all had that they should be going.
Yeah.
Again, it's probably Disney thinking that's a dumb idea, not everybody else. The serious one: tear down Swiss Family Treehouse and build a restaurant that overlooks the Jungle Cruise. Again, that's not a dumb idea.
I think I have a dumb idea.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Jason, you're gonna love this one because you've already harped on it.
Go.
If you're staying at a value resort, you can pool hop to any value resort pool. So on and so forth for moderate and deluxe resorts. If you're paying deluxe resort price, hop to a deluxe resort pool. They have the Magic Band system where you have to open the gate. So just use the gates to register. Like if you're staying at.
Can you not do that already though? There's certain deluxe pools that you can't get into if you're not a resort guest, right?
Oh, I always stay value. I'm a peasant. I don't know.
No,
I've never stayed at deluxe resort.
Yeah, a lot of the pools are just, or at least they're just for if you're at that resort. So there's some that are linked. Like if you're at Port Orleans, you can use either of the Port Orleans ones and stuff like that. But otherwise, you can't. Pool hop.
Interesting.
You're not supposed to. Yeah. So that's my idea.
The only stories I've ever heard of being denied getting into a pool is if like a pool's super crowded, they're actually checking it, or where you're going to like Beach Club or is it Beach Club and what's the other reason?
Yacht Club that has Stormalong Bay. Yeah,
right,
that one is really hard to get into.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're staying there, right?
Well, yeah.
Another one is ditch the Epcot monorail line and extend the Skyliner to the Magic Kingdom. Not to the TTC, but actually in Magic Kingdom. Again, not a dumb idea. I mean, I don't think they could do it, but it's not a dumb idea. Churros for breakfast, writes. And I like this one.
Oh, I thought the idea was to have churros for breakfast. I'm like, that's not a dumb idea at all.
No, we do it anyway. Rude guest fines. So there's goofies running around the park giving you tickets for being a jackass. I don't know.
I like it.
I'm okay with that. I don't know what the cost would be though. Like, is it you have to pay $5 like for?
Yeah, I don't know. Or you get or you get a demerit. If you get like your kids demerits, you kicked out or something.
Your kids are crying too much. Demerit. Kids are on your shoulders during fireworks. Demerit.
Demerit.
You bang somebody with your stroller. 10 demerits.
That would be like
dark red.
That role would be the most in demand for cast members that they can give out demerits to all these annoying guests.
I'm just reading these down. See Fulmer 19 is Zippy Transportation system all through the parks. So when you're doing the Disney waddle, quote unquote, you need to get from point A to point B without walking or pushing a stroller. There's tram cars in Wildwood, New Jersey that they're thinking of. So what is a Zippy Transportation? I mean, like you can't really do it, right? It's not a dumb idea. It's just like you can't build that infrastructure. See, I'm an engineer, so I'm thinking like, can we actually implement this? And it's just like you can't.
Could you do in certain sections have like moving walkways like they do at the airports though?
Why not just have a people mover throughout all of property, right? Get rid of the buses. Yeah. And then implement your idea. So every people mover has a bar in the back of it, the tiki bar, right? And then you're just having drinks when you're going from like Magic Kingdom to Epcot on the people mover.
See, now we're talking. Now we're getting places.
I'll invest.
Twin Mom, pretty crazy, but hear me out. Shade. That's another sarcastic answer. Yes, the parks need. Animal Kingdom needs a lot of shade, as we all know.
My cat just messed with my lights.
That's not good. Lumpy says, like child care centers, each park needs adult care centers. I'm marrying it with one of your ideas, right, Phil?
Yeah. With talking about beer carts and drink carts and stuff like that, just kind of hang out.
I mean, isn't that what Club 40 or whatever it
Club
is?
33?
33. I was going to say 44.
Yeah, I think so. I guess everybody just wants like cheaper Club 33.
I want a secret door that I have to knock like 4 times, stop 2 times, and go in, and there's just a bar and air conditioning, and like I can just go chill.
And I can afford it.
Well, that is the issue here. Okay, so even without the technical difficulties, I think we're running late on this one, Phil, as we usually do, which is a hallmark of a good show. Ashley, you've done a fantastic job entertaining us with your stories and your opinions. We did not have a DC recommends this week, other than obviously your podcast. That's what we're recommending. We'll put the M Plus podcast in our show notes, so it could find you. Feel free to share it in the community section of Discord when everything pops up, so people can get a listen to it. Actually, is there anything that we did not talk about that you would like to talk about on this show?
I don't think so. I
No?
appreciate you guys having me on. It was a blast.
I was going to say you have a good time. You
Yeah,
have to
oh
say
my
yes.
gosh. Yeah, I can't wait to come back already.
All right.
Good times. That being said, Phil, do we have anything else before we need to get out of here? Did I forget anything? I think I nailed everything here.
I think we're good. Yeah, we finished up Boba Fett, so no extra episode this week. We'll be recording, I think, a little early next week before I leave on my No Parks trip.
When are we recording again?
We're gonna do Thursday evening, I think.
Okay, very good. I totally forgot about that. That's fine. It's a weekday.
I know, you've been blocking it out. So.
Yeah. No, this is good. I prefer doing it on the weekend, weekday, I should say. Anyway, are we doing now? We'll do some podcast planning live. Well, not live, but recording on the air here. Obviously, we're going to be doing bonus episodes for Kenobi.
Yep.
Is there anything that we need to do bonus episodes between now and May? I don't think there's anything that we need to do, right?
No, I was trying to think. I mean, I think is Moon Knight the next Marvel?
Because that's coming out in like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Isn't that
so I don't know if we need to do that. We'll see how that one goes. But
we have to start episode 1.
Yeah.
We did all the other more other than Hawkeye because that was just Christmas times.
Yeah.
So anyway, you guys out there listening and watching, you don't get us on a Wednesday, Thursday. You have to wait a whole week to hear us again. That being said, guys, thank you for listening and watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment, even if it's just to say hello. Comments are always welcome. Helps with the YouTube's algorithm and getting other people to watching our show. That being said, Ashley, thank you for coming on. And
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you all next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.